Hi, my name is Steve Petrachik. I'm with Seattle Avionics, and today we're here to talk to you about something very exciting. We're not launching one product, but two products. We're talking about FlyQ EFB 3.0 and FlyQ Online 1.0. Let's take a look. First of all, though, before we do that, I'd like to kind of recap where Seattle Avionics is, what we do, how we're doing, and then what's new today. And then I'll touch briefly on what we're doing for Black Friday. So what do we do? Well, we do two things fundamentally. We do applications for iOS, for Android, for Windows, and so on, and we do data. So let's talk about those a little bit. On iOS, we have the #3 best-selling iPad EFB app. That's FlyQ EFB. People love it because it's easy to use and very, very good priced. We also make FlyQ Pocket, which is used by about 100,000 users, which is a pretty amazing number of pilots. If you think about it, there are really not that many pilots in the country. FlyQ Insight is something we introduced just a couple of months ago. It is an amazing application. It is the first augmented reality app available for aviation. It actually shows you where the airports are as you take the camera inside your iPhone, your iPad, and move it around the cockpit, have it look outside the cockpit, and so on. You'll see more about this today. It's a pretty cool thing. On Android, we also make FlyQ Pocket. And then on Windows, and for Windows and Mac, we make FlyQ Online. FlyQ Online is what we're going to spend a little bit of time on today, and it's really amazing, especially to do with weather, so that, well, you'll see. The weather stuff is incredibly cool. Chart data. Seattle Avionics' other business besides the application business is making data for aviation. We actually supply the data to more than 20 devices and applications. So we're talking Bendix King, Aspen, Dynon. We don't at the moment, but we used to supply data to ForeFlight and to WingX. We do it for GRT, we do it for AFS, we do it for MGL. Lots and lots of companies use our data. And by data, I mean, of course, the US data, which is probably what most of you are thinking about. We also supply European data, Australian data, and this slide's a little bit out of date. We also now, as of the last couple of weeks actually, supply Mexican data, we supply data to Central America, and we have the Bahamas. So basically all of North America, with the minor exception of Canada, we supply data for. We're also very fortunate in that we're the only company, besides Jeppesen and Garmin, who has made the FAA's DO-208 certification level. In other words, our data has been blessed by the FAA to go into these certified avionics, like the Bendix King 770 and the Aspen avionics system. Okay. Not only that, we just don't take data from the FAA. We actually, first of all, we georeference the data that we get from the FAA. We add the latitude, longitude to the approach plates and such. But the FAA only does airport diagrams for about 700 B and C and D class airports. Well, there are about 5,000 public use airports in the country, so we do the diagrams for the other 5,000 or so. Okay, it's completely custom data created by Seattle Avionics. So two lines of business, data and applications. How are we doing? Well, to put it simply, we're doing great. We're having a lot of fun and doing really well. Over 100,000 pilots use one of our applications, whether it's FlyQ Pocket, FlyQ Insight, FlyQ EFB, and so on. And as I said, 20 different applications and devices use our data. So if you're using Dynon Skyview, if you're using a Bendix King aviation system, if you're using Aspen, all of those kind of systems and a lot more use our data in them. We've also been very fortunate in the last year. We've added thousands of new FlyQ EFB customers. Well, why? Mainly, we've done it because of the simplicity. It's just so darn easy to use compared to all those other applications, because that's what we focus on, ease of use and readability on the screen, something that we call the rule of two, meaning it should never take more than 2 taps to get information that you need while you're actually flying a plane. It's also a tremendously great value. It is less expensive than most of the other iPad apps out there, which is really good because many of the iPad apps are now raising their prices. We like to keep the value terrific. We're also compatible with more ADS-B and in-panel systems than most other systems. So, for example, by in-panel, if you have a Dynon system, if you have an Avidyne system, both of those have Wi-Fi adapters. FlyQ EFB will not only transfer flight plans between those devices, but will also take the GPS and the AHRS and the ADS-B feed. So on your Avidyne or on your Dynon, The ADS-B feed that you get can be displayed on FlyQ EFB. It's pretty darn cool. We've also gotten a lot of attention in the last couple of months for this $249 ADS-B receiver that we call the Merlin. The Merlin is an incredibly good product. It compares to $800 ADS-B receivers in that it has a dual channel receiver for weather and traffic. It has a WASP GPS built into it. It has an AHRS built into it, unlike most of the inexpensive systems. And it has a battery. It also comes with a manual that not only describes how to use the device, but actually tells you quite a bit about how ADS-B itself works. So it's very, well, educational. And incidentally, Seattle Avionics also tests and calibrates every single unit before it goes out the door. As I said, we recently created the very first application for aviation that involves augmented reality. Augmented reality means combining live video from your camera that's built into your iPhone, your iPad, with, in this case, overlays that show you where the airports are from a pilot's perspective, not a 2D map. Well, you'll see what I mean. It's easier to see it than it is to explain it. It has, by the way, the augmented reality features in FlyQ Insight have gotten a lot of press attention. If you take a look at the current issue of AOPA Pilot Magazine, Dave Hirschman has a great write-up on it. And if you take a look at the April edition, April blog, Robert Goyer from Plane and Pilot did a great piece on it. And it's a feature piece of the upcoming next issue for Plane and Pilot as well. In addition to that, like I said, we do data. So in this past year, we've added data for 6 new countries and regions. Like I said, that means Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Belize, Bahamas, okay? All of these places have been added in the last year. This is what we've been up to. We've been very, very busy. And, well, I guess we should be busy. We've been in business for 14 years, and yes, by the way, we are definitely profitable. So, what are we talking about today? Mainly, we're going to be talking about FlyQ EFB 3.0. It's an amazing new release. It is the biggest release, frankly, we've ever done in the history of the product. It is awesome. And then we're talking about FlyQ Online, which will blow your mind, honestly, about the way that you can plan for weather using this product. It is unlike anything else you've ever seen before. It truly is way beyond the weather planning that you've seen in any other application. So enough of the PowerPoint, enough of the slideshow. Let's go on to the demos. Now I want to show you what FlyQ EFB 3.0 is like. There are a lot of little features, a lot of important little features in the product, but 3 really major features. So what I'd like to do is to show you the first major feature. Now this, of course, is the way that you're used to using FlyQ EFB. You hit a button on your iPad, it launches on your iPad, and so on. But you know what? The most important new feature in FlyQ EFB 3.0 isn't on your iPad. FlyQ EFB 3.0 now runs on your iPhone as well as your iPad. Let's take a look. Just tap on the familiar FlyQ EFB icon, allow it to use your location, and take a look. Screen resizes, moves, spins. I can tap the layers button and select, say, IFR low, turn on my TFRs, put on my fuel prices, the same sort of thing, radar, or whatever it is, the same kind of things that you can do on your iPad are now on your iPhone. In fact, if you take a look down the bottom of the screen, you see all the same buttons, all the same tabs. The only difference between FlyQ EFB on your iPhone and on your iPad is that, for obvious reasons to do with the device size, you can't do the split screen feature on the iPhone. That's it. All the ADS-B receivers that connect to FlyQ EFB on the iPad also connect to FlyQ EFB on the iPhone. That means your Dynon, your Avidyne systems, all of those ADS-B devices work. All the data that you download is the same. Every single feature in the app is the same. Let me show you. Although it's been redesigned a little bit to get it to look right on the screen. So I'll type in the ident of my home airport, Painfield, hit search, and now it shows me the matches just like FlyQ EFB on the iPad would have, although we did rearrange the 4 buttons on the side to go to direct to, add to flight plan, procedures, map, that kind of thing. It didn't really fit on the right hand side. So let's say that I want to bring the map directly to Painfield. I'm going to tap the button on the far right. It looks like a map, and there we go, right to the map. Let's declutter the screen a little bit, and let's turn on maybe, let's say the roads layer, turn off radar and METARs, and fuel prices. All right, so there you go. Same system. You can center the map wherever you are. You can go into 3D synthetic vision. Gonna forget that I recorded that. Okay, same basic features. When you can download data, just click here. Full ability to download data. You tap on, zoom the map, tap on the states you want, etc. Very simple, very straightforward to do. It's not really much to show you because frankly, it's the same application, all the same stuff. If you go into weather, you see it's of course reformatted for your phone, but here, for example, is some of the weather. You get your METARs, you get your TAFs. You can tap on them and see them full screen. Super easy to see on the iPhone. Nice and big. All the same stuff that you get on FlyQ EFB on the iPad is available here. Winds optimizing system, weather gallery, everything. It's the same application. Maps, flight planning, and so on. Oh, actually, there is one thing that we did add for flight planning that I think you'll like. On flight planning, there's not a lot of space on the iPad screen, or rather on the iPhone screen. So to give you more space to see your navlog, check this out. On the bar that's in the middle of the screen that says Navlog, WX Brief, and ICAO Flight Planning, double tap on that. Look what happens. Now it kind of gets all the stuff that would normally at the top, the flight duration, flight time, aircraft, all that kind of stuff moves out of the way. To bring that back, you double tap again, and it brings back. That works on the iPad, by the way, too. And it's very handy on the iPad when you're in landscape mode, that is wider than tall. Sometimes there's not a lot of space for the navlog, so all you have to do now is just double tap, and there you go, a lot more space. Pretty cool, huh? Change the font size, make it bigger. The wind optimizing system, it's all the same stuff, all right? So we think documents, you can get to some things you have to get to from here. Like you can take a look at your documents, they're all there. You can take a look at your maps. You can go to a scratch pad is still here. Hi Steve, etc. Same features, by the way, in case you missed it, on FlyQ EFB 2.5, the ability to scribble on or write on approach plates. So for example, if I pull up an approach plate for, say, rent an airport, I'll just tap on the RNAV approach here. And if I want to write a little note there, there's a button on the lower left side of the screen, and I can write notes. Just like that. You can pick different colors, do whatever you want to do. Same thing again as what you'd see on FlyQ EFB running on the iPad. Kind of clever the way the search works. Instead of having the big search bar across the top, it has what looks like one little button. You click on that, it expands, you type in what you want. Like if you're interested in Kansas City, type MCI, pulls up Kansas City. You can jump to the approach plates from Kansas City in one quick click. Swipe left and right, etc. Put it on the map. It's maybe zoomed in a tad too far. Zoomed in on the map here, maybe pull up a sectional, and so on. Now I went very fast during that, but the reason for that is because it's the same thing. So FlyQ EFB now runs just as well as it does on your iPhone as it does on your iPad. You only need an iPhone 5 or 5S for it to work. I happen to be running this on an iPhone 6S. Nothing amazing, nothing modern. I'm not using an iPhone 10 or anything like that. So that's probably the single most requested feature for FlyQ EFB, the ability to run. You can use your phone as a backup in case of an emergency, or for a lot of folks, especially folks who have an iPhone Plus with a little bigger screen, you can use the iPhone as your primary navigational device instead of bringing an iPad into the cockpit. So that is FlyQ EFB running on an iPhone. So let's take a look at some of the other features of FlyQ EFB 3 on an iPad. All right, let's begin with some of the features that people have been asking for a while. For example, there's a lot of folks out there who fly helicopters. So if you hit the layers button, we now finally added helicopter layers. So what does that mean? Well, let's take a look. Let's go to, say, LAX. Type LAX. And I will hit the map button to jump the map to that point. Check it out. You now have a sectional with an overlay that shows you the IFR, well, not IFR, that shows you the helicopter charts. Okay, those are all around the country. So, for example, if you fly in the Gulf area, the Gulf IFR, the Gulf, I keep saying IFR, the Gulf helicopter charts are right here for you. If you fly, and it's pretty easy to find, aren't they? If you go to, say, JFK, go over here, tap the map. Now you see those maps. By the way, I just want to show you something a lot of fun. Turns out that the federal government has in fact been hiding proof of alien living on Earth. And I can prove that by taking a look at an IFR, I keep saying that, taking a look at a helicopter chart. Let's take a look. Check this out. What's in the middle of the screen here? Teleport Earth Station. Now, I don't know about you, but to me that looks like dead smack proof of little green men visiting Earth. Kind of like something out of Men in Black. Teleport Earth Station. Right there, easy to see. All you have to do to know that aliens are living on Earth is take a look at a helicopter chart. Bet you didn't know that. Okay, you also have the Gulf of Mexico charts that you can add. One of the other things that we added, most recently in the data update, we added charts for Mexico, for Central America, and so on. You can now download those. Just hit the download button on the top of the screen. And now you see new regions to select. As you can see, I've already downloaded the data for all of Mexico, for Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua. Oops, I forgot Costa Rica. Okay, just like that. It's that easy to do. So for example, I'm going to click the done. If I take a look at, let me pull up an IFR low chart. And I'll get rid of the helicopter charts, don't need those. And let's take a look at what it's like going far south. So let's say that I want to pull up a chart for, oh, I don't know, what's some airport here? Let's see, or where would be fun? Double tap here. Looks like we have an airport, MHLM. It has approach plates. Check them out. You're now looking at an approach plate for Central America, right here. Of course, you can flip, go to the next one, just as you would for any other one, and so on. So you can now get easy access to the maps and the charts for Central America from within FlyQ EFB 3.0. All right, other things that you can do in the product. Well, here's a biggie. So we talked a little bit before about our FlyQ Insight product being the very first augmented reality app. Well, it is the first augmented reality app for aviation, but it's really not fair to say that it's the only augmented reality app for aviation, because it's not anymore. So let's say I'm looking at a sectional, maybe pull up a little flight plan here. Oop, don't actually have a flight plan loaded. So let me load in some flight plan that I may have created. All right, I'll put this thing into the simulator. And let's go back to our map page. All right, sorry, the map page. All right, so we're here flying along, turn my flight plan line. Life is good, but let's say that we're flying along and we want to find some place that we haven't really been to before. Maybe the weather is bad, it's at night, whatever it is. We know that the airport that we're trying to fly to is nearby, but for the life of us, we just can't actually see it. Now, to be honest, I'm not actually flying in a plane right now. I'm sitting at my desk at home. So this isn't, you're going to have to imagine this a little bit. But imagine that you are flying in your plane right now, and instead of just looking at a map, you can hit, there's a 3D button, looks like a 3D cube on the left side of the page. In FlyQ EFB, in previous versions, this toggles between the 2D map and 3D synthetic vision, just like this. It still does that. But now if you tap it a third time, check this out. It uses the camera built into your iPad and your iPhone to actually show you as you move around, as you take your iPad or your iPhone, this works on the iPhone too, it shows you where the airports are as you move around, okay? You can take pictures of this if you want to. Yes, I'd like it to save that. You can tap on the airports, all of that kind of good stuff. So now when you take a look and you're not sure where a place is, you know that the airport, like BFI, you know that BFI is now 20 nautical miles away. It's blue, meaning that's controlled system, as opposed to, say, 8WS, which is magenta, which on a sectional means that it's an uncontrolled airport. So that's there. We're now hitting due west, whatever it is. In the lower right corner of the screen is kind of a top-down view that you can also use. It shows you where, again, relative to your current location. As you spin around, it shows where everything is. Okay, so pretty cool. You can minimize that and so on. Not only that, so let's say that you're flying along though and you want to say maybe look at a regular map, a 2D map, at the same time as you're looking at this. In the upper left corner of the screen is a split screen button, and yeah, you can split the screen. So you can have a map on one side, right over here, and on the other side of the screen, you have your augmented reality. This is incredibly cool, and this is the only app out there that is capable of doing that. Not something we've ever seen before. FlyQ EFB 3.0 is the first full-blown iPad and iPhone EFB app that includes augmented reality. It is super slick, and although it's maybe a little bit hard to visualize when you're looking at it here, not actually in flight, this is something that you're really going to love. Again, you saw a great piece about how this works in AOPA Pilot from Dave Hirschman, and Robert Goyer has written about this once and another time in the next issue of Plane and Pilot. So, FlyQ EFB, second major feature, only iPad application, only iPad and iPhone EFB app that includes augmented reality. Okay, what else? By the way, to then turn that off, you just tap it again. Tap that 3D cube again. Now, in addition to that great iPhone support that you saw, one of the other most highly requested features is the ability to record your flight. Let me show you how that works. It can either record it automatically or manual. I have it set to manual right now. If you take a look at the upper right corner of the screen for the status indicators, there's a new slot now. That new slot is currently off. If I just press and hold on this, I've turned on my data recorder. We're now recording the data. And if I actually want to see the breadcrumbs to know where I've been flying, there's a new layer. So I hit my layers button. And at the bottom right corner of the screen, there's a new item called tracking. Turn that on. Notice that the line began the moment that we turned on the data recorder, not when you turned on the tracking. So we now see a line showing us where we've been flying. This is incredibly convenient if you were, say, a Civil Air Patrol pilot and you need to keep track of your track. If you are a student pilot and you want to show this to your flight instructor. A lot of great reasons if you want to make sure that you're not flying through an MOA, in case you ever get a pop quiz from an FAA person, and so on. Lots of great reasons for the track. Again, it works automatically, so you don't have to remember to do it, and it just stores it in the system. Now, not only that, I'm going to actually turn off. Now let's leave the recording on for a second. All right, so I'm going to turn the recording off now. And let's say that I really like this flight and I want to send this to somebody. What do? Well, at the top of the screen, we have a settings button. So I'm going to go to settings, look down through pilot profiles, aircraft profiles, and we have a new item, stored tracks. Click on stored tracks. And we have a number of other recordings we've already made. Notice that you see a little thumbnail image. It tells you your to airport, your from airport, when you took off, basic statistics about your flight, the distance, the duration, and so on. You can hit the edit button and you can retitle it so it's not MIV Burger Run with Bob, and so on. You don't have to do it that way. You can hit the share button. With the share button, you have the ability to send this to Cloud Ahoy. You can send it to Google Earth for a flight plan that way. Lots of different things that you can do that is incredibly convenient. Or you can just hit the play button. You can also hit play this way. So I'm going to show you how to play back the flight. Not only can you record the flight, but if you, say, email this to your flight instructor can use Cloud Ahoy if you want to analyze your flight, but can just load the file into FlyQ EFB and play it back from here. What do I mean? Okay, let me show you. So FlyQ EFB has always had a simulator. So now, since we have a track loaded, if I hit the simulator button, check this out. There you go. So the entire flight plan that we just flew, the green line is there, so kind of the opposite of a flight plan line. And now you can control actually the playback speed, the position on the route, so you can play it back really fast, really slow, whatever you want to do. So the entire flight that you take is recorded. You can play it back just on FlyQ EFB all by itself. A really convenient new feature. That is a data recording feature now built into FlyQ EFB 3.0. So if you get the idea that FlyQ EFB 3.0 is a pretty major update, it is. Again, 3 major features. can now run on your iPhone. It now has a data recorder that lets you record flights, play them back, send it to other data systems and so on. Lots of great things like that. It includes augmented reality, so you can actually look out the window, see where you're going, as it were, by taking the camera out there. No other app has that. And then there's some other features that maybe aren't quite as important, but the ability to load in approach plates and charts from Mexico, from El Salvador, Nicaragua, anywhere in Central America. The ability, if you fly a helicopter, to have the helicopter charts overlaid on top of your sectional or IFR charts. If you're flying over the Gulf to an oil rig, that's there too. But if you're just flying in the middle of downtown Manhattan, we have those charts as well. So I hope you get the impression that FlyQ EFB 3.0 is indeed a major update. We've been working on it for quite some time. So that was FlyQ EFB 3.0. But remember, today we're announcing two different products, FlyQ EFB 3.0, but also FlyQ Online, which is an incredibly sophisticated and yet very easy to use web-based flight planner. Works on your Mac and it works on a PC. It works hand in hand with FlyQ EFB, general idea being that you plan on your Mac or your PC using your big screen, your monitor, or your keyboard, and then that flight plan is automatically enabled to fly on FlyQ EFB on your iPad or your iPhone. So I'm going to kind of jump into the presentation here kind of in the middle, and I want to show you what it's like to take a look at a couple of aspects of FlyQ Online. The weather, which is incredible. We call it four-dimensional weather. You'll see why in a second. And how you can take those flight plans and export them into other applications. So, FlyQ Online. You can also look at radar. We now have animated radar on here as well as static radar. But what I'd like to do is to show you some more of the weather features. So let's go back to my, well, oh no, why not? Let's stay over here. So I'm going to turn on the ceiling layer. The ceiling layer is color-coded. So it tells me that it's clear. Looks like LA is kind of a boring place to be. Maybe let's go someplace with more interesting weather. I used to live in Kansas City, so I type in MCI. And let's see what's happening over there. All right, let's turn on the visibility layer. Looks like not a lot happening on the ceilings. So here we can see that the visibility is 10 plus miles. I can turn on precip. I can turn on things like sky conditions. Lots of different things to turn on. Okay, I'm going to turn some of those off. Because the really fun part about weather usually is what happens about different altitudes, different times. Weather changes. So the difference between this product and every other flight planner I've ever seen, I haven't shown you yet. What I'm going to show you is the way that it treats weather. Weather isn't two-dimensional. It's not even really three-dimensional. Weather is four-dimensional, meaning it changes based on altitude, on lateral location, and on time. And that's what this product really focuses on. So let's talk about that. I'm going to zoom the map out. Let's turn off the TFRs. We don't really need them right now. Zoom the map out a little bit. Takes the map a second to refresh. I'm going to switch this to the road layer though. It makes it a little bit easier to see things like political boundaries and things like that. All right, so now we're looking at the entire country. Hopefully your screen has caught up with this. I'm going to turn on the winds off layer, and let's take a look at this. Now, you see arrows. We're zoomed far out, so we can't really tell you from this distance. We can't put little numbers on the screen telling you how strong the wind is. We do not use wind barbs because it's just too confusing. So instead, we use colors. A red is something over 40 knots, the green is 20 knots or below, and the orange are in the middle. But of course, the winds change depending on your altitude. So you notice, let me point this out to you here, that there is this thing called, hopefully this shows on the screen. Go with the highlighter. No, sometimes on the presentation tool here, this doesn't work so well. But there's an altitude slider next to the layers box. Right now it's at 6,000, telling you that the winds you're looking at are at 6,000 feet. I'm going to set it to 12,000. Here, set it to 12,000. Notice that the winds change, maybe at 18, at 30,000. It's pretty strong winds today. down to 9,000 feet, back down to 6,000. So here, that's how you can set how you want to look at the winds at different altitudes. I'm going to zoom in just to show you what you get when you zoom in enough. As you zoom in a little more, now instead of just seeing the arrow, you know that the winds are 28 knots heading to the southeast. That level of detail doesn't work unless you're zoomed in pretty tightly like this. So I'm going to zoom back out again, and you'll see that that disappears. And you just get the colors. Other things, though, I'm going to take the winds aloft off, and one of the other features that was missing from FlyQ Online in the beta, by the way, you can resize these windows. So I'm going to actually make this one a little smaller. So what you can do here is you can turn on the AirMet and SIGMET layer. I'm going to turn this off now. Now, AirMets and SIGMET also vary by altitude, right? So if you're flying at 30,000 feet, you get a whole different issue with AirMets and SIGMETs than you do if you're at 6,000. So again, the altitude slider takes this into account. So these are all of our AirMets and SIGMETs at 6,000 or 9,000 or 12. Let's try 24,000 feet. We see some of them go away. At 30,000 feet. If you want to see detail about them, you just click. And there you go. Very easy to see. Convective SIGMET, I'll click on another one. Another convective, looks like we have a lot of convective today. Some turbulence. Okay, more convective. Okay, more turbulence. So very, very easy. Just a single click gets you that information. And it's based on that. You know what though? The thing about weather, like I said, is it's not just based on altitude, it's based on time. You may have noticed down the bottom of the screen that there's a timeline. I haven't used it yet. Let's take a look at that. So right now, the time, it's a little bit past 4 o'clock right now in Seattle. So the time marker down the bottom of the screen here, I'll see if I can highlight this. No, it doesn't look like the highlighter is working. So down the bottom of the screen, it says it's about 4 o'clock right now. So this is telling me that the AirMets and SIGMETs at about 4:15 at 30,000 feet look like that. Let's try changing it into the future. So move forward to maybe 7 o'clock tonight, maybe 6:30. So it looks like at about 6:30, most of the AirMets and SIGMETs have gone away. The ones that are left are things like mountain obscuration or turbulence, okay? So you can take, and that's at 30,000 feet. So maybe at 6:30 tonight, if I had a flight and I was flying at maybe 12,000 feet, see, quite a bit different. So 12,000 feet at 6:30 has quite a lot more things to worry about. Looks like over the lake, over Lake Michigan, you have a lot of turbulence and so on. Let's pull up winds too. Winds, of course, change like that too. So I'm going to take off, you can keep these on at the same time, but for simplicity, I'm going to turn off the AirMets and SIGMETs and just turn on the winds. So at 6:30 p.m. on the timeline, at 12,000 feet, that's what the winds are supposed to look like. Maybe make it 18, now let's make it 9. And let's change the time. I can grab that slider and move it forward. So now this is at about 9:45, around midnight. Bring it way forward to tomorrow morning. The winds have changed considerably. The winds, it looks like in the center of the country, are heading primarily south. While if I move it back to the current timeline at about 6:30, the winds are a lot more heading from the west to the east. Okay, so once again, you can use 4-dimensional planning. So we're looking at 9 o'clock in the morning at maybe 24,000 feet, at 34,000 feet, at 6,000, whatever it may be. You can look at the winds, you can look at the AirMets and SIGMETs, however you like, based on the time and on the altitude. Not just those though. Let's turn on the METARs and the TAFs. So on the METAR and the TAF layer, which by the way you can get at through a single tap now, which is kind of handy. So in the METAR and TAF layer, those are also color coded. So the METARs and the TAFs, a green is good, red is bad. So let's go back to our current time. So right now, notice that there's a lot of dots on the screen. That's because, let me just remind you of this. This is not called the METAR layer, it's called the METAR and TAF layer. So what we do is, based on the current time, or rather the time that you select on the time slider, we show you either a METAR, if it's within the next hour or so, or we show you how the weather will change based on what's expected in the TAF. Okay. So right now we're looking at the time from 4:30. So there are a lot more METARs in the country than there are TAFs because METARs tend to be automated. TAFs require a human being, a meteorologist, to interpret the data. So most airports don't have them, as you know. If you take a look, it looks like in California down the West Coast, there's some red dots right now. Red meaning, I can just hover over that it's IFR conditions. Let's move the time slider though forward. Let's see how things change in the next hour or so. So instead of 4 o'clock, I'll make it say 5:30. Notice that the number of dots is thinned out. Again, that's because now we're looking primarily at TAFs, not so much at METARs. We're going to keep moving the timeline forward. So maybe make it 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And it changes. It looks like California has particularly bad weather, it looks like. If we move that to 8 o'clock in the morning, colors change and so on. Okay. Looks like, oh, so it looks like at about noon tomorrow, we have some bad weather up here in Seattle. So I'm looking here at the northwest of the country, and there's a lot of red dots around I-5, the freeway that runs from Canada down to Mexico. Okay. So by being able to vary the timeline and in some cases the altitude slider, we can see what the weather really looks like. Now that by itself is pretty darn cool. And there's no other flight planner that I can think of that can do that. But we're not done yet. Let's take a look at some of our flight plans. So I'm going to load in a flight plan. Since it looks like the weather is going to change quite a lot on the West Coast, I'm going to take a flight plan from my home airport, which is called Payne Field in the Seattle area, down to San Francisco. I'm going to tap on that to select it. All right, so now you see the flight plan line is on the screen and so on. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The interesting thing though is, well, again, I can move my timeline for weather, but let me show you one other cool feature. I'm going to hit layers and I'm turning on the profile view. Check this out. Okay. There has been no flight planner that I can think of that's had a timeline and had a view like this, a view that shows you a view over the terrain, except for what we used to call Voyager, which is our window, well, not used to, still do. Our Windows-based product is something that we introduced almost 14 years ago. It's called Voyager. It introduced the concept of a time slider and a profile view. But let me show you how that really helps you during flight. I'm going to turn on the wind layer also. So let's turn on the wings aloft. All right, and let's say I'm going to be mainly flying at 12,000 feet. So I'll set it to say 12,000 feet. All right, get rid of this, get rid of that. Just keep the screen a little cleaner. All right, if you take a look at the timeline down here, if you look closely, and I hope you can see this on your screen, the first part of the timeline is now green. The second part is white. Well, what's that all about? The green part represents when we have a flight plan loaded, when our flight actually is. This flight actually began, theoretically, at 3:15 today, and it's about 4:15 or about 4:30 right now. So this flight actually began in the past. So the timeline begins at the very beginning in green, telling us that there's a flight, and then it looks like we get done with the flight at about 1 in the morning. So let's move my timeline back. Check this out. Do you see what's on the screen right now? I just moved that to about 7:30 today. Notice what it did. It did something I've never seen any other online flight planner ever do. It's showing you where the aircraft is going to be based on your current flight and based on expected winds, by the way, during that time. So it looks like we'll be around Medford, Oregon, roughly halfway or so to San Francisco. And you can see that graphically on the 2D map up above, and if you look down the bottom of the screen at what we call the profile view, you see it down the bottom at the profile view. Okay? And you can slide this little timeline any way you like this. You can actually see where you change altitude, where you begin to descend. See, now as we're coming into San Francisco, if you look at the lower right corner of the screen, you can see that the aircraft icon on the profile view is getting very low. Okay. The cool part about that is that let's turn on, okay, right, we have the wings aloft on, and we have the METAR layer on. So remember that at the start of the flight, let's say that we're at about 4 o'clock right now, it looks like the weather is pretty good, actually. A lot of greens in Oregon, not too awful. It looks like when we get near Medford, Oregon, though, and Shasta, and maybe start to get towards San Francisco, we're seeing red dots, which means IFR conditions. Still, we're not there yet. We're only at the beginning of the flight. So the way that the weather is right now doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with the way it's going to be towards the end of the flight. So let's move timeline forward. All right, I'm going to move it a little bit more. It looks like to me that I'm seeing a lot more green dots in Northern California, around Sacramento, around Fresno, and so on. Let's take a look at one of these. What's this one say? So it looks like the TAF over here at MRY, is at Monterey, not sure where that is. It's getting a lot better. So by having a timeline and by showing you weather based on the timeline and showing you where your aircraft is expected to be at a certain time, you can get a much better sense of, should I take this flight, should I not take this flight, all right? So very, very different way of looking at weather. You're looking at weather from essentially a three-dimensional perspective. Again, the only system I've ever seen that does anything like this is our Windows-based installed app called Voyager. I've never seen anything like this online. So that's a little bit about the weather that's in FlyQ Online. We're not done yet. So the thing about a flight plan, though, is it is just a plan. You have to do something with it. You can't fly with a Windows-based or Mac in your plane, at least most people can't. So what you do is you need to do something with that flight plan. So let's take a look over here. This is our navlog. If I hit my share button, I have a number of different things that I can do with this navlog. I can, for example, take my PDF, I can print out a navlog PDF. I'll just hit download, and it'll generate that. And I can take this printout and bring this into the cockpit. It shows me what my winds look like, what my expected fuel burns are like, and so on. I see my frequencies, I see my Morse code. All of that is right here. Okay, so what you need to take into the cockpit is right there, conveniently ready for you to go. Switch back to FlyQ Online. That's not all, though. You can use that to send it to your buddy or something like that. One of the other things is, let me point out this text at the top here. It says, how would you like to share the flight plan? Note that all emails, because you can either download or send an email to someone, all the emails include route links for FlyQ and ForeFlight. So obviously we'd prefer if you plan all your flights using this and then you take FlyQ EFB into the cockpit with you. Obviously that's the best way to go. But should you choose to use ForeFlight, if you send an email to yourself, you can get the navlog, and it includes a link that if you click on it and you open it on your iPad or on your iPhone, it will automatically load that flight plan into FlyQ, or if you click the ForeFlight link, into ForeFlight. So you can use this to plan your flight no matter which app you use, and then send those emails. So let's say I was to send this email, for example. I'm not going to do it. But if I wanted to send that email, I can type in 2, 3, 4, 5 emails, whatever it may be, and I can send this to all my buddies, anyone who's coming along with me in the flight. Okay, so you can very quickly distribute these. Very simple. All right, but there are more ways of doing it. So when you're actually in the cockpit, having a navlog to look at is clearly a nice thing to have. Or at least that's what, the way that people learn to fly. It's the way I learned how to fly. You have a piece of paper. Nowadays, though, people often want to load them into their GPS unit, and we make that super easy to do. Anyone have a Garmin, for example? Anyone have a Dynon? If you have one of those, we're making it super easy for you. If you have a Dynon, you can just download what's called a GPX format file. It's right here. This is it. You put that onto a memory stick. You can load it into your Dynon. Super simple. If you fly with a Garmin panel, a G1000 and so on, not a handheld device, this has to be their panel systems, then you can create what's called an FPL file. Again, download it, boom, there you go. You put it onto an SD card, you stick it into your Garmin, this flight plan is good to go. It's that simple, okay? If you want to do this to a buddy, instead of downloading it, again, you use that email option, and you can email those files to your friends, to your co-pilot, to your spouse, whatever you want to do. Okay. One more thing to do with this. This is one of the things that I think is really cool. Before you plan a flight, after you plan a flight, you check out the weather, you make sure it's going to be safe and so on. If you're just flying around the corner to get a hamburger, you probably don't really care. But if you're flying to a place that you've never been to before, and you really want to take a look at what it's like, what the train is like, what the airports look like, and so on, there is simply no better way of doing that than using Google Earth. So we're going to make that super simple. So I'm going to pick the share option called download. Let's check this out. I'm going to click here. I'm going to double tap on my KML file. Loads in Google Earth. I'm going to maximize that. Remember, we're flying from the Payne Field in Seattle down to California. Here's our flight plan. Now, this is not just a line. This isn't just a simple little two-dimensional line. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to zoom in pretty far, move the map, maybe around Portland. I'm a little bit new at using this, so bear with me for a little bit, but I'm going to tilt the map, zoom in a little more. I want to show you that this is actually a three-dimensional line. I'm going to zoom down, change the angle a little bit more, and then zoom. Okay. I'm not sure on the video, it depends a little on your internet connection, how much of that you guys got. Check this out. You are literally flying over the boxes. I know this part's probably a little blurry. I'm probably moving the mouse too fast. But I just want to show you what it's like moving over the terrain. So here, you can see the hoops that you fly through. You see the cities that you go to, and so on. Okay, so you have this great opportunity to actually visualize your flight, not just by looking at a two-dimensional map, not just by loading into the GPS, not just by looking at the weather, but actually literally looking at the area that you're about to fly over. If you want to zoom down and you want to see what this area looks like, it's right here. By the way, you can zoom in particular spots. Like if I want to see what Portland looks like, I can double tap here. And Google Earth automatically brings you to Portland. So here we are. Here's the Portland airport from space. And there's our flight plan flying directly over it. Pretty cool, huh? In addition to that, not only the demos, hopefully you enjoyed those, but we're also here to talk a little bit about Black Friday, because Black Friday is near and dear to Seattle Avionics' heart. It's been a staple of our business for years. It's something that we really pull out all the stops on, and here's what we're doing this year. The Merlin ADS-B receiver, I told you it was $249, yeah, but not today. Now it's only $199, okay, for an amazing price, for just $199. You get, again, a dual channel receiver with WASP GPS, with a full AHRS for 3D synthetic vision. You get the battery, you get the manual. Again, it's really comparable to those $800, $850, $900 receivers you see from some other company. And it works not just with FlyQ, of course it works with FlyQ. It works with ForeFlight and virtually all the other iPad, iPhone, and Android apps, granted with the exception of Garmin. We're also introducing lifetime specials on many of our most popular products. FlyQ EFB Lifetime. It's $399 for the IFR plus VFR. That's it. $400 gets you never paying again for data for FlyQ EFB, whether you're flying IFR or VFR. If you only fly VFR, great, only $299. Dynon Lifetime. Our Dynon prices are fantastic already, but now for just $349, again, you never pay for data. You get both IFR and VFR data for your Dynon. Normally, when we sell this, it's a $600 package, but during Black Friday, it's only $349. Aspen. Our Aspen certified data, the lifetime on that is normally $1,500, but now during Black Friday, it's only $699. Bendix King, also certified data, also $699. An amazing deal. You buy it once, you never have to buy it again. For GRT, we have a lifetime special as well. If you fly IFR and VFR, $499 instead of $900 gets you never having to buy data again for your GRT forever. And if you only fly VFR, great, only $299 for that. AFS, similar to Dynon pricing, $349 gets you never paying again for the AFS data. And this is one of my favorite things, Chart Data One. Chart Data One is a tremendous product. We make data for a lot of different devices, a lot of different applications. So How about making one subscription that covers everything? We sell this outside of Black Friday for $3,000, but during the Black Friday sale it's just $749. This covers you for what the devices that you have today and may have tomorrow. So if you have FlyQ EFB today and you're thinking about getting a Dynon, you're thinking about an Aspen, you're thinking about a Bendix King 770, whatever it is, you're covered, again, for today or for tomorrow. $749. So how do you get this stuff? So how do you get these things? Easy. Go to seattleavionics.com/BF, Bravo Foxtrot, or Black Friday. Again, you can get the FlyQ special, you can get the Merlin special. All of these specials are available. Our Black Friday specials are all available from seattleavionics.com/BF. For Seattle Avionics, I'm Steve Petrachik, CEO. I hope you are having a great evening. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.